Welcome to The Explainer. You know, sometimes the most powerful stories aren't about the final victory, but about the journey's end. Today, we're diving into one of history's most profound moments of leadership, limitation, and what a life's work truly means.
I want you to really hear these words. They were spoken by Moses, the incredible leader of the Israelites, right at the very end of his life. And this isn't just an old man reflecting. This is the end of an era. It's a statement of fact, an acceptance of a divine command.
All right, so to really get the full weight of what he's saying, we've got to zoom in on the man himself and break down these final words. You know, that phrase, go out and come in, it sounds like he's just saying he's getting old, right? But it's actually so much deeper. The historical texts say his strength was still there. What this really means is that his specific job, his divine commission to be the active, day-to-day leader, was over. His mission was complete.
Okay, now let's pull the camera back for a second. Because to understand this moment, you have to understand the epic scale of his life. This is not just any leader reaching retirement.
So, Moses is 120 years old. I mean, just let that number sink in. And the life he lived in those years was just, well, it was an absolutely extraordinary journey that literally shaped history.
I mean, think about this guy's resume. He starts out as a prince in Egypt, the most powerful empire in the world. Then, bam, he's a fugitive, a shepherd, hiding out in the middle of nowhere. And from that, he becomes the liberator of an entire people and the man who gives them the laws that will define them for millennia. It's just an incredible arc.
And all of it leads right here, to the Jordan River. You have to understand, this wasn't just some river they had to cross. For the Israelites, this was everything. It was the finish line after 40 years of wandering in the desert. It was the physical proof that the promise they'd been clinging to for generations was finally real.
So, this brings us to the big question, the real head-scratcher. Why? After all that, after leading his people right to the very edge of their dream, why was Moses himself told, nope, you can't go in?
Well, the answer isn't random. It's not just a cruel twist of fate. It all goes back to one specific moment, a moment of disobedience that had huge, life-altering consequences.
It all went down at a place called Meribah. The people were hot, thirsty, complaining. You get the picture. God gave Moses a really simple instruction. Speak to the rock, and water will come out. But Moses, in a moment of total frustration with the people he's been leading forever, he doesn't speak to it. He hits it. Twice.
And this moment is so powerful because it drives home a huge point: accountability. The message is crystal clear. No one, not even a leader as revered and as great as Moses, is above the rules. It's a stark reminder about responsibility and obedience, especially when you're in charge.
But here's the part that always gets me. In his final big speech, you don't hear any bitterness. There's no, it's not fair. Instead, what you hear is this incredible, profound acceptance. Now, that doesn't mean he wasn't disappointed. Of course he was. But it shows this deep, unwavering faith, a trust that the bigger picture was more important than his own personal goal.
So we have to ask, right? Does this one final boundary, this one uncrossed river, diminish everything he did? Does it mean his whole life's work was somehow a failure?
Well, what's so fascinating is that the source material suggests the exact opposite. In a way, his inability to cross that river is what helps us see what his real legacy was all about.
Look, his legacy was never about stepping onto a particular patch of land. His real legacy was the nation he built, literally forging a people out of a crowd of slaves. It was the law he delivered, a moral code that would go on to shape Western civilization. And maybe most importantly, it was the successor he mentored, Joshua, who he prepared to finish the job.
And that right there, that's such a powerful lesson about what true leadership is. Sometimes, your greatest success isn't about what you personally accomplish. It's about how well you equip and empower other people to carry on the work and go further than you ever could.
So let's bring this home. How does this ancient story have anything to say to us right now? Well, it turns out it has a ton to say about the Jordans, the boundaries and limitations we all run into in our own lives.
So what can we take away from all this? There are really 4 big ideas here. First, the reality of limitations.
You know, accepting that some things are out of our hands is a mark of real wisdom. Second, the nature of legacy. Realizing that your true impact might just be in what you build for others. Third, trusting in a bigger plan, believing there's purpose even when things don't go your way. And finally, number 4, the importance of transition, knowing how to end well so that something new can begin.
So this incredible story of Moses standing on that ledge, it really challenges us to look at our own lives, to look at the unfulfilled dreams, the closed doors, and it leaves us with this one final, really powerful question to think about. What Jordan in your life isn't actually a barrier, but is maybe, just maybe, the very place where your true legacy for others begins?